Hello, I'm Kira.
And I'm Tom.
And today we are diving back into the NSC Spring 2026 playoffs. This is week 3, and we're super excited to be hosting this event on behalf of NSC.
We are. Well, today we'll be showcasing the matchup of Oxford Omnics versus Ab Crazy Raccoons. We have the best of 5 series with different hero bands in each map as well.
And we're still waiting on a couple of players, so we will be back with our casters in a couple of minutes.
Hi, and welcome back to the stream. I will be your play-by-play casters for today.
And I'll be your color caster, Click.
Yeah, I forgot to introduce myself. I am Imagine. And thank you to our wonderful host. We have a best of 5 here between ABBA Raccoons and Oxford Omnics. And the first map we already have. We've already got it set up. We've all got it banned. Teams are ready to go. First map is going to be Nepal. And we have a Ram ban from ABBA Raccoons and a Lucio ban from Oxford.
Yeah, so we're going to kind of see maybe some Junker Queen coming out, or maybe even the new hero Domina, because she has been dominating some of these rank queues.
Yeah, and and as we're going to go ahead and get this first map started, before we actually get into the map though, predictions.
Well, I mean, based on the statistics that we've got in front of us, I mean, Oxford Omnics have some crazy ranks on their team. They've got Diamond 1 on Tank from Rene. They got GM3 from Egg Roadman. They got Masters 1 from Sergeant Squirt. Finn Fun J is GM5 and Mudkip GM5. So they got a very high ranked GM roster coming out here. So I expect to see some really well thought out, well put together plays.
Yeah, and here we are on Nepal. And the teams look like they're ready to go with their comps. Now this from ABBA Raccoons. Now this is a comp.
Yeah, this is a comp we obviously saw last week as well. Played really well. The Zarya Vendetta is just such a powerhouse. You bubble her in, she won't die. She'll get a pick on the back line. But Oxford Omnics here coming out with quite a tanky team, especially with the Torbjorn and the Orisa. Going to be hard to take those two down, but can they survive long enough to get rid of ABBA Raccoon's insanely powerful Zarya Vendetta comp?
Okay, and both hit scans here, TPing the teams out on Symmetra and switching over to the classic Sojourn, who everyone knows and loves. And it looks like we're going to be taking this first team fight here up on the high ground. Wait, as the Torbjorn is flanking, this could be an interesting play here. Vendetta from Unknown going in on the Vendetta, not going to be able to find a kill, but will be finding so much damage, jumping onto the Kiriko, and Finn will be forced to TP out. ABBA Raccoon's really controlling the space well. The Vendetta is back in, and it finds the Kiri. Absolutely beautiful opener for Crazy Raccoons. ABBA Raccoons.
This is exactly what they want. They have the pick on the Kiriko. Oxford Omnics really can't push or hold space here. They've got to kind of regroup. They've got to take their space, and they've got to really find out if they want to reset, if they want to continue this fight.
Yeah, and we have ABBA Raccoons will lose their Vendetta though. Mudkip with a beautiful shot onto Unknown as Armada and Ensam are there to follow up against Crazy Raccoons. And Armada is absolutely running this point. Zarya with high charge is a force to be reckoned with, and we see Fire is going to clean that fight up.
Yeah, ABBA Raccoon, I mean, Unknown taking the pick onto Finfun's Kiri just so early on into the fight. Put so much pressure on Oxford Omnics, especially when their Torbjorn and their Sojourn were on the other side of the point. They couldn't really get the reset they wanted, and it seems to be that they've kind of staggered themselves, and ABBA Raccoon lead 40% on the first map.
Yeah, Unknown here gonna fall very low, but he's not gonna be taken out, as we have Toe on the Sojourn, and he has got a nasty angle here onto the team. Ensam using the Kitsu to engage. Unknown is gonna take out the Torbjorn here on Sergeant Squirt, and ABBA Raccoon are in control of this team fight. Rene and Roadman are both going to fall low. The entire of Oxford Omnics is looking like it's going to get wiped out.
Yeah, I mean, ABBA Raccoon, they're just taking advantage of the space. Oxford Omnics can't seem to find where they want to play this point. They got pushed into that small little room, and that was just perfect for ABBA Raccoon, who still have the point pressure up to 75% now. They've just managed to absolutely negate the space, so Oxford Omnics are forced into the tight room, and that's exactly where the Zarya and Vendetta shine.
Yeah, and we're going to have Fire here engaging with the Wu Yang. Finfun is going to be found by it, and Oxford are popping a lot of ult before they even see what's going on. Armada and Toe, though, they came to clean up with the grab overclock combination. Egg Roadman gonna get staggered there trying to touch the point, and ABBA Raccoon will take this 100-0.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much Finfun could have done there on the Oxford side of the Oxford Omnics. The Kiri in the spawn, though, was a very interesting point. Maybe they could have used it to retouch the point, but the time was ticking down, and the picks were there for ABBA Raccoon.
And here we have Oxford Omnics switching the hit scanner up to the Freya. I wonder if that will yield him any more value. I don't know how I feel about the Torbjorn Orisa.
Yeah, I think Oxford have really got a difficulty with what comp they're trying to run, especially because, as we all know, the Zarya Vendetta is honestly such a strong comp right now and is being played in most OWCS games. So Oxford Omnic's comp, not the usual comp they would find, but maybe this random collection of heroes might be able to throw Crazy Raccoon off their game, and they might be able to win this Shrine.
Yeah, we've got double flyers here now from the DPSs of Oxford Omnics, putting a lot of pressure onto the Crazy Raccoon's hit scan. Unknown is going to fall to 1 health before even getting a fight. Maybe the real reason is to avoid the Vendetta, but Toe finds a beautiful railgun onto the Pharah here. As Renee takes 1 back, but Unknown is pressing that advantage from Crazy Raccoons. Armada's going to be falling a little low here as being chased by a Rita, but his team is there to back him up. And Crazy Raccoons are comfortable here.
Yeah, I mean, Crazy Raccoon, they're just taking the off angles. They've got Toe on this left side off angle, blasting turrets down into the Surge. Sergeant Squirt here, naked Pharah. They don't have the Mercy with them, so this is going to be very difficult to keep them stable and keep them alive. And Armada is just a force to be reckoned with. He's just sat in the middle of the point. Ensam and Fire don't really have the stress to keep him alive. He's taking the space. Let's see what Oxford Omnics can do here anyway.
Yeah, so we have Toe here kind of taking a usual off angle. Ensam and Unknown gonna find this Freya very early, and the Wu Yang is scuttering to get away. Half health, he's gonna use all his CDs and eventually fall, but Ensam finds 2 on the point.
Yeah, I mean, Crazy Raccoon are just absolutely stomping them so far in this match. But first map nerves, it could come to a close final fight. Oxford Omnics may have a few tricks up their sleeve, as they have changed their comp up now onto the Tracer and the Cassidy here.
Yeah, we might have a bit of a San Francisco shock thing here, where the team just cannot play control.
Yeah, they might just get a bit lost on this first point. Maybe because it wasn't their initial pick.
Renee gonna find a beautiful pick onto Toe. Unknown will trade it onto Mudkip. Main support for a hit scan. That's a pretty good trade. And Egg, Roman, and Renee, here they are on the point. And they're going to find 2 more. Just a Vendetta left here to stall for Crazy Raccoons, and she will fall. Yeah,
that is exactly the fight that Oxford Omnics need. They do have 2 ults coming up in that form of the Orisa and the Kiri, but 78% for Crazy Raccoon on this point. They have Grav, they have Vendetta ult, they have both support ults. They nearly have 5 ults coming into this fight. If they can use these ults in a good manner and have some for the recontest, I think this is a very easy Crazy point win for this one.
Yeah, I mean, Crazy have been mostly winning here just off mechanics and coordination. An Egg Roman will fall. The Vendetta ult is out. Can it find one? No, but it will drop Renee onto 1 HP. Wu Yang ult coming out again to save this Orisa. This Orisa is getting so much peel, and it will find the value in 2 kills. And Oxford Omnics do hold, but it is an expensive hold.
Yeah, they did use quite a few of their ults here. They're coming up on the Cass and the Tracer, but they have no support ults. Both support ults used in that fight, whereas Crazy Raccoon coming in with the 4 ults still, only using that Vendetta ult in that final fight. Maybe we can see a big grab and a big Wu Yang ult on this Zarya just to clear up and win this point.
Yeah, Armada here, marching towards this point. The Toe is going to pop the overclock to try and make some space, but will be caught out by Renee. This Soldier's not having a great time. The Kitsu now from Ensam and Fire dropping the Wu Yang ult. Good Suzu timing from Finn here. The Vendetta's in the backline though, and she has her stacks. Armada's going to be using the grab, keeping Renee away from peeling them, but it looks like that it is just a cleanup job for Crazy Raccoons. But they still haven't capped the point, so Oxford are still ticking away, and Mudkip and Renee have found 2. This fight has been completely flipped by Oxford, and it looks like it's now Crazy who are going to be struggling to touch.
Yeah, it doesn't look like Crazy can get a touch here. This is going to be 1-1 in this fight. Beautifully executed. Crazy had the ults there, but they just couldn't find the plays to make it. Oxford Omnics with a beautiful hold there, managing to keep this game 1-1, going on to a map 3.
That was an absolutely insane comeback. Almost an entire comp switch into a comeback. That's why we stream these matches. You never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, these games can go completely unnoticed, but we are showing you this live, and this is some pure, raw talent from these uni teams, and it is honestly a match to watch. I feel like this is going to go to a map 5.
Yeah, we might have a very close series on our hands. And you see, the teams aren't switching too much up here. Crazy Raccoon's opting not to teleport out. Oh, never mind. There's the teleporter. And yeah, they're going to have their Surge TPing out. Maybe not the best choice, but if you have to choose someone, it's going to be Sojourn in this comp. As Unknown here, looking for a very early engage. Will not find much value on it, though. And Armada here trying to march up. And he's not going to able to find much either. This is just Oxford Omnics using their tankiness to kind of just force Crazy back. Unknown caught in a really bad position here. Yeah,
that was well played by Renee.
That is an unfortunate pick here from Oxford Omnics. They find the second. The DPSs are down for Crazy, but the Zarya is high charge. Can they find the pick? It looks like the target priority just isn't quite there for them right now without those DPS players.
Yeah, Crazy looked insane on this first map, but they seem to be struggling now. The comp change-up from Oxford Omnics is exactly what they needed, and they are proving that they are a worthy candidate in this fight.
Tracer and beautiful headshot out of Cassidy here. Oxford Omnics kill 3, kill 4, kill 5 for the first team kill, but they've already got 25 on the point, and they have both support ults.
Yeah, I mean, the ult advantage from Oxford is looking mighty here. They've nearly got both DPS ults, their tank ult on 80%, and both support ults. Whereas Crazy Raccoon are coming off on both the support ults as the Wu Yang ult comes out here onto the Tracer.
And Mudkip gonna use that ult, trying to find a pick, and find it he does. He finds 2, in fact. The Wu Yang and the Vendetta both falling, and it's Oxford Omnics almost walking up to the spawn doors at this point. This is dominance at its finest.
Yeah, normally in these matches, this Zarya should be countering this Orisa, but I feel like the supports from Finfun and Mudkip are really keeping Renee alive, and he is just hitting the spears on the Vendetta especially, really shutting her down and making the space.
And Ensam here, going to push up with Unknown and this Kitsune. Unknown not about to find anything onto the Cassidy, but will eat the High Noon, but will fall eventually. Armada struggling to stay alive on the point, and it's a beautiful play from Sergeant here on the Tracer. Can he find both supports? Yes, he can.
Sergeant Squirt is honestly just keeping up. I understand why he got ranked Sergeant now, because he is just absolutely ruining Crazy's lives.
And it is a beautiful spear from Renee to stagger that Zarya. And Toe! He's swinging alone, and he will be found out. And it looks like Unknown is going to be staggered as well here. And Oxford will take this map.
Yeah, I mean, Crazy, they look so polished on that first point. They were really taking the hands and really making sure that Oxford were having a tough time. But ever since that first point, they couldn't really get their flow. They couldn't bubble the Vendetta in. They was looking a bit all over the place. But I still feel like they're still playing well, even though they did get absolutely destroyed in those second 2 maps. I feel like Crazy have something up their sleeve, and they're going to pull it out for these next fights.
Yeah, so the next set of maps and bans will come out here. But off of that first map, 2... Okay, 1 more expected comp with the Zarya Vendetta. But Oxford, the Orisa comp?
Yeah, I was surprised it would work, honestly, but they made it work. The Cassidy was honestly shutting down that Vendetta, and they just couldn't deal with Sergeant Scott and his backlines. He was just free space. He was walking around. He was just doing his shopping, and on his list was Oxford's backline.
Crazy's backline.
Crazy's backline. My mistake.
It's all right. But we did see Unknown running out of value in the first map. 2 kills every fight. And then just went quiet. The Oxford backline learned how he wanted to play. They saved their cooldowns. And all of a sudden, Unknown couldn't get anything to go on the Vendetta.
Yeah, I mean, the way they played in the first half, they managed to get the Kiri out of position a bunch, but they can't seem to be finding their footing. Maybe it was just that specific map. Maybe Crazy aren't too confident on this Nepal, but we're honestly excited to see, because this Zarya comp should be winning against this Orisa comp, but honestly, Renee on this Orisa, he's hitting the spears. He's doing exactly what he needs to do. He's holding the space. And Armada just can't seem to get close to deal any damage.
Yeah, and it's really unfortunate because that is supposed to be a matchup where Zarya is the clear favorite. I mean, maybe Abercrazy just need to look at a different backline there, or a different DPS comp maybe. I don't know. They couldn't find the answer.
Yeah, I mean, Toe, every time he was trying to set up on his off angle, Tracer was there to deny the space, and it made it very difficult for Toe to really understand where to position, and he needed to kind of play with his team. Maybe they should have fought on the high ground rather than going main. We will not know, but yeah, I mean, yeah.
And it looks like our second map is going to be coming through here, and it is Midtown.
That's a rogue pick. We haven't seen many Midtowns in the NSC series so far.
And the first band's going to be a Wu Yang. Understandable. I believe it was coming out from Abercrazy here. Mudkip's Wu Yang was absolutely stellar. I have zero complaints. He was never out of position. He was never getting picked. He was always doing his job. And that's just what you want from your main support. That is a really solid pick and a real good reason to ban it, I feel like. And especially on Midtown, where you might have some of these pokier fights, I can understand removing the Wu Yang.
Yeah, I mean, we got to start talking about what Oxford Omnics will ban, because they seem quite confident. I don't think they need to ban this Zarya or even this Vendetta. I feel like they found a way to play against it really well, and it's going to be exciting to see what they ban. Maybe they want a safety ban, but they don't need to, because Abercrazy has banned first. So whatever Omnics decide to choose will be what they can play moving forwards.
Yeah, Oxford Omnics, they also look so flexible here. I mean, they played 4 different DPSs and a tank that's not usually considered meta. So we might be seeing a team where Abercrazy have to almost predict their bans into what Oxford might play, because this is looking like a very unorthodox team, granted, but honestly, it works so well for them.
Honestly, there's nothing more stressful than what happens when a team is playing an off-meta comp. As normally, when you scrim, a lot of the time, you're playing into the same comps over and over again. So when there was this one team that is playing something you're not used to play, it makes it very difficult to understand their playstyle or how they're going to be able to play on this point.
Yeah, and we do have the Sigma ban coming out from Oxford here, maybe indicating that they might be playing some dive.
Yeah, they might be playing some Rush. Maybe some Queen might come out on Midtown. I've seen a lot of Queen on Midtown.
You really want to see Queen today?
I really want to see Queen. She's just so fun to play into. She's just such a great character for Brawl. She's just beautiful.
I think... No, this might be a bit of foreshadowing. I think we might see D.Va.
D.Va?
I think it's going to be a D.Va pick. Renee has listed it as one of their favorite characters. I think it could be a good play here. But
yeah, especially without that rock to cancel out the D.Va, there's not much to really do, because D.Va can eat the spear, but they can't eat the rock from the Sigma. So maybe this was their thinking all along.
Equally, Armada may just go back to that Zarya. I don't know. There's only so much predicting that we can do. But after map 1, what is your prediction for map 2, maybe?
I still think that Abercrazy have some fight in them. Honestly, I think Abercrazy are going to take this second map. I feel like they did lose a lot on control, but I feel like on a payload hybrid map, they will definitely be able to control the space more, especially if they're playing the Zarya Vendetta comp.
Yeah, honestly, I have to agree with you there. We've seen some great moments already from Abercrazy Raccoons. If they can just find their footing again, reset, and get back to it, I think they will have no problem taking maps, even maybe the series, off of Oxford Omnics here.
But I will say, Jared, how are you feeling about Sergeant Squirt's Tracer gameplay at this moment?
Honestly, I think Abercrazy need to find an answer, and they need to find it fast. As much as Tracer is one of the hardest heroes, if you have a good Tracer unmarked, it's free real estate for the backline. They are not going to be able to stay alive.
All right, let's see what comps are coming out on this Midtown. What are Abercrazy Raccoon going to answer to the Oxford Omnics?
And here's Oxford Omnics back on the Orisa comp. Honestly, I don't know why we didn't expect it.
Yeah, and especially training out this Wu Yang for Lucio, maybe they can play a bit more aggressive here and really run into Armada starting on this Ram. How are your opinions on the Ram pick here?
I don't hate it. I don't hate Ramatra into Orisa, but given that Armada, maybe not Armada themselves, but given that they seem to be struggling on Zarya into Orisa, I don't know if Ram is going to be the answer. Maybe they're trying to play a little bit less selfishly, try and peel the Sojourn a bit more. But honestly, only the game will tell us.
Yeah, and Abercrazy choosing to play the Vendetta again, even without the Zarya. Maybe Unknown just feels so much more confident on this Vendetta than Tracer. But I would have argued Tracer might have been a better pick for them here.
Yeah, as we can see, the kind of trade coming out here, but Sergeant Squirt has not been scouted out, which is going to allow Renee to walk straight up and buy him some space. Now being marked by the Vendetta, but that is a costly thing to send away from the main fight. Renee gonna find fire. Lucio getting picked just around the fire truck here. And this is already going badly for Abercrazy Raccoons, as Egg Roadman is gonna find the pick onto Toe. Abercrazy Raccoon... sorry. And Sam is going to find one onto Egg Roadman, and Sergeant Squat's going to find another. Both teams are trading back and forth down to a 3v3, which will be taken to point by Oxford Omnics.
Yeah, it looks like Oxford are going to get at least 2 ticks here without the touch from Abercrazy. Abercrazy might just give up the point entirely. They do have the speed boost here. The Ram is touching the point. They do have a contest here.
Yeah, and they are going to march forward here. Armada holding up that Ram form. He's going to be tanking so much damage, trying to push forward. A couple trades come out here from both the DPS to both the DPSs, and Renee is going to find another, but it looks like Abercrazy Raccoon might be good to go on this retake, unless Armada misses the opportunity to kill the Orisa. Oxford Omnics will secure the point.
I mean, Renee on this Orisa, he's just staying alive, he's making the space, and he's allowing Sergeant Squirt to really just do whatever he wants. Him and Egg Roadman are just such a force, just doing so much damage to their backline that Abercrazy Raccoon lose one a fight before the fight's even started. And that is really bad news if you want to try and hold this for victory.
Yeah, Renee is looking so good and so comfortable here, and this could spell disaster for the side of Abercrazy Raccoon as Egg Roadman finds the Sojourn diff yet again. Abercrazy Raccoon cannot find a good place to set up here. Armada back on the Zarya, but already dropping so fast in that health. Honestly, the Kitsu from Finn is going to buy them some space, but Abercrazy are just forced to keep walking back without taking a team fight.
I mean, Oxford Omnics still have such a higher ult economy with the free ults. Here comes the Kiri Rush out from Finn. See if they can make any space here.
Armada and Unknown are going to team up there to take out Mudkip, but that's no one else is falling from Oxford Omnics. The comp is so tanky. The target prio needs to be on point here. And the Soj is going to take a dive hit from the Vendetta, but re-engage and gonna win that trade. Renee is going to use a questionable Terror Surge, which unfortunately got caught out by Armada and Unknown's bubble. And it's honestly, on Oxford Omnics, they lost one early in the fight, but they are not giving up their position at all. Here we go, running back a little bit, but the ults are just charging and charging here as Toe rips the overclock, but will die immediately. And then Unknown will find the trade onto the other Sojourn. Armada going to find Finn here. And it looks like Abercrazy Raccoon are losing their footing again. They had a good minute-long fight, but now they are struggling. And never mind, Unknown is going to find Renee and find Sergeant Squat to clean it up. Very scuffed fight, but Abercrazy were able to close it out in the end.
Yeah, I feel like Armada is so much more comfortable on this Zarya, especially being able to bubble Toe and Unknown. Unfortunately, Toe did fall early with the Sojourn ult here, as Armada was a bit too below the bridge to be able to give Toe the bubble, to be able to live a little bit longer. But that's all fine because Unknown manages to catch up the fight and stops them in their tracks.
Yeah, we have Unknown here diving straight to the backline. Big beat here from Mudkip. It's going to keep the entire team alive and give Egg Roadman enough time to get this overclock off. Going to find some value with it as Toe here is going to fall. And Renee is marching onto the point uncontested. This is not good for the side of Abercrazy. Renee and Mudkip speeding forward towards the spawn of Abercrazy Raccoon and capping the second point.
Yeah, unfortunately, Unknown's ult did not manage to go off. They was in the backline. They was falling a bit low. Might have been a bit of a panic ult. They might have been able to secure one pick, but we are going to go to a pause here. There might be some text issues or some internet issues going on. We'll give a quick talk about what happened in that first fight, and we'll see how the players are feeling and make sure that all these tech issues get resolved.
Yeah, so far in the fight, I mean, they're very... Okay, they are not the cleanest fights.
Yeah, they're very, very messy fights, but it's getting done. I mean, just Abercrazy Raccoon, they seem to be doing really well early in the fights, but they just... Sorry. The Vendetta seems to be going in a little too far, and that allows them to get shut down quite quickly.
Yeah, so we have been informed that it is unfortunately a slight issue with the Overwatch lobby. All good though. We will be back in the match very shortly. But until then, what do you feel needs to change in this match for Abercrazy to get back into this?
I feel like Abercrazy do need to start setting up more. They seem very much come out of spawn, go straight into the fight. They need to be taking these angles. They need to be setting up, and their Zarya needs to position themselves in a space where they can bubble the team. They need to bubble the Lucio if they get low. They need to bubble this Vendetta to entry, and they also need to be in a position where they're not taking so much damage. Because it seems like Armada is using a lot of these bubbles on themselves, which doesn't allow Unknown a lot of chances to really go in and cause havoc to this backline.
And here we are back into the map. We did say it wouldn't be long, and we're back in already. Just over 3 minutes on the clock for Oxford Omnics marching down towards that last point.
Yeah, I mean, Armada here, Unknown, you can tell that they have some chemistry together. They are getting the bubbles coordinated, but the bubble timings and the way that Unknown is going in, I feel like Unknown needs to be a bit more inconspicuous with where he's going in, because it is very obvious to Oxford Omnics where Unknown is going to entry from.
Many ults going to be coming out here. Armada's grab is a notable one as it kills Egg Roadman, and they are going to march forward, repressing this, and they are going to try and push this Orisa back and back. Unfortunately, it will be cut short by Renee using the Terror Surge. Again, not going to quite use it early enough, though it seems, but will force the Kitsune out of Ensam as Toe and the rest of Abercrazy Raccoon clean up this fight.
Yeah, that's beautiful from Toe. He got Mudkip, he got Sergeant Square. He really did stop Oxford in their tracks, and Abercrazy have some time here to really whittle down this clock and try and get as much time off the objective. Because as we all know, Overwatch, you have to push it to the end, but the less time you have will make it harder for the final push if both teams manage to push this to the third point.
Down to 2 minutes here on the push, but Oxford Omnics are not doing well in their ultimate economy, and NSAP is going to find Sergeant Squirts just to cap off just how bad of a situation this could end up being. Bubbled Vendetta going to go in here, forcing the slide out of Sojourn, and it's going to be a quick fight here because Oxford Omnics do not want to push without this Tracer. Honestly, Oxford Omnics here, they are trying to position themselves, but they need to stop getting picked off.
Yeah, they can't really start this push enough. I feel like Egg Roadman here could take a lot of aggression on this high ground. Unknown can obviously counter and contest that high ground. But as Toe, High Noon here coming out, picks out Mudkip just barely, and this is going to send Oxford Omnics into a fray.
Yeah, Abercrazy Raccoon's trying to pick up the back of Toe, and this is absolutely beautiful fight. Only going to lose Unknown in the process, as it's almost a full team kill and pushing them back to the spawn. 2 minutes have gone now on the defense.
Yeah, 1 minute left. Oxford Omnics do seem to be coming back with ults. They do have both support ults, nearly got their Tanko, and they have Sojo. Abercrazy Raccoon has the same response with the exact same ult economy. It's all about who can get the better ult here. As both Kiri Rushes coming out, the grab coming out here, Egg Roadman with the thing, Beat coming out from Mudkip here. This is a crazy amount of ults. Beat still online for fire here. Abercrazy Raccoon have the option if they need.
Yeah, and this is a very expensive fight from both teams. And Renee is going to use what might be the last ult in the Terror Surge. And it's going to be Oxford Omnix winning this fight. The ultimate comes out here from the Vendetta. Can't kill anyone, but does drop Mudkip to 1 health. She's going in the backline. Can she find some more? She's going to get so much damage onto this Orisa, but Orisa is so tanky. We keep saying it. Orisa doesn't fall very easily at all.
Perfect Suzu coming out here from FinFun to keep Renee alive just that little bit longer. But unfortunately, Renee does go down to Unknown. Toe finishing up Egg Roadman. Just the Tracer to touch. And I feel like this is going to be the end of Oxford Omnix push.
Yeah, we have Armada here switching over to the run for the final fight. And it's going to be a quick cleanup from the DPSs to make it a 2-0 push.
Now, Jared, we have just witnessed an 8 ultimate fight with no casualties until all 8 ultimates have been used. What do you think that is? Do you think that is some skill issue between the game? Do you think the ultimates were used perfectly and just managed to buy time for both these teams? Or do you feel like it was quite a messy fight from both teams here?
Personally, now I don't have the highest level of understanding of Overwatch at its highest levels. I don't feel like most of the ults were used badly. It's just the fact it was a counter and response play. Like the Kitsunes, they matched each other. The overclock came in, and then the grab came in, and then both beats were used. It's a case of, at some point though, you do have to stop committing to a fight.
Yeah.
Like, okay, commit maybe 2. If they start popping 3, 4 ultimates, just leave.
Yeah, that could have been Oxford Omnix's sign to really take back initiative. Could have saved the Terror Surge here and the beat. Could have let it go to a dry fight for them. Abercrazy used 4 ultimates. After the first 2 ultimates, especially from Ensam the Kiri Rush and Armada using the grab, they should have been like, okay guys, we've got 1 minute on the clock. We need to save our ults. We need to answer back with an insane push. And that's when they could use the beat. That's when they could use the Terror Surge. And they might have got a bit further on this objective.
Mudkip here on the cat.
We was saying last week how we did want some cat gameplay, and we've got it.
And this is going to be an interesting play. Not seen too much of Jetpack Cat yet in NSE. Renee here gonna fall very, very low, very early here. And Unknown, unable to find a pick here from the dash. Maybe due to a lack of scouting here. That's not a great way to start. But Abercrazy Raccoon are taking a lot of space here. And Unknown is making this a really bad situation for the hit scan of Oxford Omnix. And they fall. Armada falls to Renee. And Unknown is going to find 2.
I mean, Unknown is just so oppressive on this Vendetta. Ran into the backline. All he needed was 1 bubble. He looked at Egg Roadman and he said, "You are mine." And he got that pick. Got the pick on FinFun. Didn't manage to get Mudkip, but he is on the cat. Don't think we're going to see many deaths from Mudkip here if he plays his cards right.
Yeah, I mean, not the most common of the characters, but we do love a bit of Jetpack Cat. Unknown here, getting a soft dive off here on the Vendetta. Kind of trying to force some of this value out. As Fire is going to find Sergeant Squirts on the flank. That is not a very good way to start this defense Oxford Omnix. And Abercrazy Raccoons are really in the driver's seat here.
Yeah, they understood what they needed to do. The first map was a bit of a fluke for them. They've seen what they can do. As Unknown going in, killing 2 in the backline here. Didn't get the help he needed from his team, but really did destroy the defense of Oxford Omnix and allows Abercrazy and especially Fire on this Lucio to get 3-point pressure, which 4 minutes and 40 seconds on the clock.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about the push from Oxford Omnix here, but Abercrazy Raccoon are going absolutely insane here. As Egg Roadman is going to take out Toe, maybe try to cut that momentum, and it looks like this might be maybe a slower fight as Abercrazy going to wait for their hit scan. Never mind, they're going in as Finn rips the Kitsune. Ensam is there to match it. Unknown and Fire dropping to 1 HP but not going to die. And Oxford Omnix are actually the ones who are forced to walk back. Finn is going to fall. Fire will follow. The ult hit from Renee going to stay alive a little bit longer. Unknown with the Vendetta ultimate. Going to put Renee straight back to 1 health. but they cannot find the kill. Not getting any help here. Here's the
huge grab from Armada. Picks up 3, doesn't manage to find one. Toe managing to clean up at least one of these kills on Roman as Unknown takes out Renee here. Toe is going to be able to pick up Mudkip. It's just Finn and Sergeant Squirt alive. Can they finish up this fight and get this first point?
Yeah, Oxford Omnics hit, swapping over to the Doomfist to try and recontest. Toe is going to find one, going to die. Unknown is going to find one. The Ensam has been kidnapped by the Jetpack Cat. No great use for that outside of dragging him out of the fight. Renee on the cart, trying to buy some time here for Oxford Omnics. Crazy Raccoons trying to hold this, trying to fight them off, but Renee and Sergeant Squirt seem to be getting it done with the support of Mudkip. Egg Roadman is back. The team is grouped up. They're on the point, and they have shut it down.
Unfortunately, that was a 2 CP moment. I mean, Oxford Omnics, they managed to swap off a couple of their comps, lose some of their ults here, but managing to hold and buy time to stop this payload from approaching. Huge time bike win. Less than 3 minutes on the clock now. That is going to be crucial for Oxford Omnics to try and whittle down their time as much as possible. And Crazy Raccoon is going to start walking up here. They're looking very aggressive. What can they do? They have no opening. They have no ults here. Oxford Omnics going down. Eggfert Roman taking out Unknown, stopping the charge in their tracks. Can he find any more? Toe looking down at 1 HP as Renee is going to clean up the rest.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good fight from Oxford Omnics to push them back here down to 2 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, the time bank has been whittled by over a minute in 2 fights. That's just how scary it can be if you don't manage to get these fights done quickly. It really does whittle your time bank. As Unknown forces the recall here from Sergeant Squirt, as Eggman Roadman takes out Toe again.
Yeah, Unknown here gonna win the flex DPS duel against Sergeant Squirt. Egg Roadman gonna have a lot of trouble here with Unknown on his head. There's the 2-piece. Armada is gonna find Finn, and the Kitsu Rush is gonna get so much value. Going over the top here onto the high ground from Crazy Raccoon. And Mudkip might narrowly escape with their life. As here we have Oxford Omnics back to the spawn. The network going to be cancelled by the Chaplain. Very questionable place to use it. As Finn is going to use the ult. Toe is going to find one. Egg Roadman though finding Armada. Finding a 3. Can he find more? There's 4. Can he get the full
and there
team
is the
kill?
Ace for Egg Roadman 87. Honestly, just superb shots. Didn't miss a single one. Just really making it so Crazy can't push here. It's kind of a one-man army from Oxford Omnics. Egg Roadman is taking a pick every fight before Crazy can even walk up. He is really stopping them in their tracks. Unknown is trying his hardest here to really make some space, but doesn't look like they can stay alive long enough here.
We have them jumping onto the high ground only to get shut down by Egg Roadman. This is bad. Crazy Raccoon's time back is in final fight territory, and they've only got 1, maybe 2 2 ultimates in the bank here.
We need a huge grab from Armada here. That's what is needed to be able to turn the tides at this point. Even if they solo grab the Sarissa and really shut down the Sarissa here, it will be huge for them.
Unknown going back in on the dive, not going to be destroyed here by Egg Roadman again. Never mind, it was a second later, but here's Renee taking out Toe, and Crazy Raccoons are falling apart. They're holding the speed stills. 2 will come out from Armada, and Fire finally with the beat, and Ensam with the Kitsu Rush. Crazy Raccoons going to switch their comp up a bit, trying to get back to this point. Oxford Omnics, 3 players alive still here, but none of them can touch the point. All of them have to posture away from it. Sergeant Squirt almost finding Fire, but gonna have to recall out. Unknown finding Renee though. Crazy Raccoon have a shot at winning this. Oxford Omnics ultimate bank is running low. Ensam finds another, and they're gonna cap the point in overtime.
Yeah, I mean, they had the ultimate advantage. They just had to walk up. They had to use them, and that was perfect. Oxford Omnics now have more ults online. 1 minute 18 on the time bank, and only 50 meters in the game.
Yeah, but that time bank is not pretty, and neither is Crazy Raccoon's ult economy. Oxford Omnics coming up on 3 ults here.
Yeah.
Can they close the fight out with just these?
Crazy need to take a dry fight here. They need to either wait and buy time to build up as Mudkip kills 2.
That is beautiful from Mudkip here. That's what you want to see from Oxford Omnics. Not even a chance to build up some of these ults from Crazy Raccoons, and they're down to 40 seconds.
Yeah, that's exactly what Oxford Omnics needed. They needed that dry fight. They're going to take Cass up onto the high ground here, or try to, as they didn't really work out for them here. But they do have 3 ults up to Crazy's 0. Their support ults are coming up, but FinFun does have this continuing.
Egg Roadman finding the pick onto Unknown. 3 ults on the bank from Oxford Omnics, but almost 5 for Crazy Raccoons. They are looking to stay alive. They are playing for their lives. They might be able to clutch this out with the ultimates, and it looks like they're going to start their walk right here, right now. Are they going to use an ult early? Finn is going to use the Kitsu, and it's going to be matched by Armada's grab. The Pulse Bomb coming in, finding Finn. Egg Roadman finds 2 very quickly. Renee finds 1 with the Terror Surge, and Mudkip is there to back it up. That is 4 kills, that is 5 kills, and that is a map for Oxford Omnics.
It does seem that Oxford Omnics are being the dominant force in this match, but it was close. It was a very close match, Jared.
Yeah, every one of these matches so far, Crazy Raccoons, they just seem to not be able to win these pivotal final fight moments, and it's leading Oxford Omnics into a 2-0 victory.
Yeah, I mean, just Oxford Omnics are just getting the picks. They're winning the dry fights, and that's exactly what they need. But again, as we saw in that final fight, so many ults with 0 kills. I don't know if the ability usage is just perfect here, but that's another 8 ult fight with 0 casualties.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, even Mudkip getting involved now. We're not just seeing these DPSs playing up. We're not just seeing Renee hitting spears. We're seeing every part of the team getting involved, getting a piece of it, and we just don't see that same reaction from Crazy.
Yeah, Crazy, I don't want to be mean and say it's a one-man army from Unknown, but Unknown does seem to be really trying to pull his work and really trying to make this an even game. I mean, Crazy Raccoons are playing really well, but it just looks like Oxford are way more tuned together. Maybe it's a rank difference. Maybe they've just been a team longer, but we don't know.
Yeah, we are going to be passing over to our analysts here soon. We have a map to review. We are not sure yet what map they're going to review, but before we cut to this, we are 2-0. What do you want to see happen in the rest of the series?
I want to see Crazy take a map. I know they have it. I know they have the power to play really well. They just need to find ways to deal with Oxford here. I mean, Crazy have had some insane plays, and they've been playing really well, but everything they do is just like Oxford has waiting for them. They just know exactly what they're going to do. They have the Suzu one time. They are denying these grabs completely. We had a grab pulse bomb here from Abercrombie, and all it hit was a May who just pressed Ice Block. Negated 2 complete ults here. Maybe it is the ult usage from Crazy here that is really letting them down. But I feel like this next map is Crazy's map.
All right, I will hold you to that, as it looks like we are getting ready to switch over to our analysts here. We will be back on the desk for the third and maybe 4th and 5th maps after a short little bit of analysis. And honestly, before we go, I want to see Crazy take a map as well. Maybe take 2. We have not seen any team pick Escort yet.
Yes.
I want to see an Escort map.
Yeah, I mean, we've had the hybrid, we've had the control, and it's been very kind of back and forth. Both teams playing really well here. Like, it's quite rare on Midtown not to push it to the 3rd point. So that just shows how strong these players are playing and how defensively well they are managing to keep this. But when we go to these analysts, we'll hopefully get a more understanding of how Oxford are beating Crazy Raccoon and making it such a close battle.
Yeah, and we will be passing over to our analysts right now with an in-depth breakdown of one specific fight that they have chosen out and why it happens the way it did.
And thank you so much to our lovely casters. Now, we're going to go back to the first map,
Yes.
Nepal,
Yes.
and really see kind of, well, because the first round of Nepal, it looked very much like Abercrazy were going to take it all. But on the last two rounds, they just managed to take it and sweep it, and then they've managed to do that again on Midtown with, might I say, quite a dominant performance.
No, exactly. I think it was like I think it was Jared that Jaden mentioned earlier. Like it was the first map, you know, it was the first game, it was the first half. They're warming up into the map, and I think, you know, there was a slow start, but once they turned it around. And I think, you know, obviously they're 2-0 up now, potentially on their third and final map. But no, once again, let's go into Nepal.
Yes.
Let's see what happens here.
Now, I wanted to look at this fight here because, as you can see, the Oxford Omnics, no ults. I mean, they've coming up on their DPS ults, but nothing to really like start the fight. And then you've got Abercrazy Raccoon with just basically all of their ults, aside from the Vendetta. And I really wanted to look at and just see how they work.
How it kind of goes.
Yeah, how they work really well as a team together. Now, see, I think one thing that really holds Oxford together is Renee and that really, really strong front line.
No, I think, you know, as you know, for the perspective of Abercrazy Raccoons, you know, they've got it's such a close match here, and as you said, ults are popping off right now.
Yeah, the overclock just does not seem to get anyone to get caught out by Renee. 2 support ults coming out, and yet the Wu Yang still gets taken out. They do take down Egg Roadman, and the Grav comes out, but Oxford somehow managed to pull it back with Renee and Sergeant Squirt just absolutely tearing through Armada.
It kind of like I think there must have been a miscommunication between the team, obviously, which we don't obviously know about, because it felt like it was such a winning situation, but it just kind of it didn't happen.
It kind of felt more like a throw everything at the wall and see what sticks.
Because kind of like, you know, you've it's close to the end of the map. I feel like maybe potentially. I mean, I'm not too sure how high ranks and like with the nerves when the players go in. But I mean, situations like this, you know, nerves could potentially be getting in the way.
And I think regardless of like nerves and that, panic ults do just happen, and maybe that could have been the case.
I've misclicked my ults so many times.
Yeah.
I'm like, but I mean, at the same time though, I mean, Oxford, they are playing well.
Definitely.
They're playing very well. They were a bit sleepy, like you mentioned before, they were a bit sleepy at first.
Yeah, and I think it's just thanks to Renee and, well, everyone really, but the Renee and Sergeant Squirt seem to have so much synergy together that you can really tell that they just know how to play off each other.
With the 2 maps that we've seen now, what would you say is your highlight at the moment? I mean, for me personally, it was definitely the ace. The Cassidy ace from...
I would have liked to see the Jetpack Cat fly noon, but that's a bit ambiguous.
Can we get that next game, if you guys if any of the players are listening to this quickly? But yeah.
Well, I think we will be going to map 3 now, and we will hand back to our casters to see if Oxford can close out the series.
If you think about it quickly, before we go, this would be the 3rd time they'd be like a 3-0 sweep from the... it's our 3rd time casting these games and watching them. It could potentially be another 3-0 sweep. Will we get to the 5th map? We don't know.
Maybe.
We'll find out.
On to our casters.
And thank you very much to our analysts. We are back, and we are ready here for our third map. It's going to be Suravasa. We have a Cassidy ban from Abercrazy. Understandable. Egg Roadman is causing a lot of issues.
He really is dominating on that Cassidy.
And we have a Zarya ban from Oxford Omnics, which hints to me that we're seeing another version of Renee's Orisa, sorry.
I mean, you can't put up performances like that back-to-back games and not play the Orisa for a third map. Banning Armada Zarya, knowing that they played that for the past 2 maps, heavy Orisa counts, and they're just like, well, we've got the ban free. Goodbye. And that's going to leave Renee completely uncontested. Now, I do want to just quickly say, before we get into this map, do you think Oxford Omnics playing this Orisa, is it Abercrazy's fault for not having enough damage to deal with it? Because it seems to be, I mean, I know back to front is a very, very common way to play the game, and they don't really want to be looking at this Orisa yet. But Renee's on 4 HP at the end of every fight here. Can Abercrazy really do anything to really get the damage out onto this Orisa and really make Renee punish? Because he seems to be just stood in the open getting picks left, right, and center. You can't leave him alone. Just because he's the tank doesn't mean he will wipe your entire backline in seconds.
Yeah, I think it might be a target prio issue here from Abercrazy Raccoon. They have the Vendetta, they have the Sojourn, but if they're not shooting the same targets, it's not going to die. And that's the problem that Unknown is finding here, having to hunt these kills down all alone. Now, speaking of comps, Abercrazy Raccoons on the Reinhardt.
I love Reinhardt. I love watching a Reinhardt battle. I feel like Reinhardt into this Orisa here is going to really struggle for Armada, but we don't know. We haven't seen his Reinhardt yet. He might be the best. Oxford Omnics coming out on the same palm. Obviously, Egg Roadman switching the Sojourn for the Cass. He was still dominant on this Soj, so we will still see a good performance out of Egg Roadman. Sergeant Squirt on the Tracer again, Renee on the Orisa, Finfun and Mudkip on the same backline that they've been running. The only difference is Abercrazy Raccoon are swapping the Zarya out for this Ryan here, and Unknown for the Tracer instead of the Vendetta.
Yeah, Unknown here gonna win the Tracer duel. Finally being able to shut down Sergeant Squirt's Tracer, and this is a good look for Abercrazy. This is how you want it to start.
Yeah,
you found the answer to the biggest problem that Oxford seems to have.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing more demoralizing than losing a Tracer 1v1 that fast. It's really going to put Sergeant Squirt on either he is going to chase Unknown down for the whole map. Oh, Renee picking up fire here. That's the early start that we wanted to see from Oxford Omnics, as maybe this fight will be turned around.
And there's Egg Roadman putting pretty much the nail in the coffin because of a Ryan comp, killing the Reinhardt, and Unknown and Ensam will fall. Toe's gonna get massively staggered here.
Yeah, I like the Reinhardt here from Abercrazy, but I don't think it's the answer they were looking for to really deal with Oxford Omnics. As the point, we've got 33% for Abercrazy, and we're now looking at the same point for Oxford Omnics. It's going to be a close first map, but normally I like to say to Suravasa, whoever gets this first map does take an early ego lead.
Yeah, it is an interesting map. Flashpoint is an interesting game mode overall. As Renee hit, gonna fall a little bit low, but Armada really commanding this point presence. Not much damage needs to be done because he's catching it all with his shield. Although, if that shield is low, Armada is out of the fight for a while. And that is not a good look, as Oxford Omnics keep ticking this point up into the 80% now. And here are the ults. Both Kitsune is going to come out, but Unknown finds 2. And that is a beautiful thing for your Tracer to do. 1v1 there, Tracer. Kill the DPS. And here's Toe and Fire for the cleanup.
Yeah, I mean, Abercrazy, they're looking hungry, they're looking ready. We're seeing some more round 1, map 1, Nepal coming out from Abercrazy Raccoon. They want to stay in this series. They're looking to get to this grand final, and they're really going to stretch Oxford Omnics and say, we're still here, we're fighting, do not take your foot off the pedal yet.
Yeah, and here's Sergeant Squirts maybe looking for his Pulse Bomb, as Toe's going to rip the overclock, but Egg Roadman and Mudkip have rotated around the back. They've gone to the point. Toe is going to find Renee, but they need to get these two off the point and fast. And there's the touch. Beautiful shot from Toe. Immediately on the recontest, shutting out Mudkip and gonna pick up the point. 1-0 for Abercrazy.
Yeah, unfortunately for Mudkip, it was an amazing C9 attempt here. They nearly got the point, and if they would have capped it and Abercrazy didn't realize, they could have been used to a C9 here. But unfortunately, Abercrazy did manage to react in time. They did manage to stop it, and that is the first map to or the first flashpoint to Abercrazy.
Yeah, Oxford Omnix charging down here off of the high ground. Renee, ult in hand, doesn't need it. He chooses a spear instead, and that will be Toe out of this fight. Bayer gonna be using this beat in combination with the Ryan ult. The Mudkip's beat did come out there, but Renee is off the map, and that is not good. But Egg Roadman doesn't care. Him and Sergeant Squirts are not done yet. Mudkip will die to a pulse bomb, but Sergeant Squirts 1v1ing a Reinhardt on Tracer. Absolutely unheard of. Unknown is back. He's trying to get the value, but he gets picked up by Egg Roadman.
He does manage to get a final pick onto Finn as this fight's over, maybe making it harder for Oxford Omnix to recontest here, as Abercrazy are only down their Tracer, whereas Oxford Omnix are down this Kiriko here. Kiriko not going to come back early in this fight, looking like it's going to be a point flip to Abercrazy.
Never mind, Oxford managed to get back just in time, and Renee is gonna charge in with the Terror Surge, finds Armada, and then finds Toe. Egg Roadman throwing down the damage, and that is going to be a very quick ace.
Yeah, I mean, expertly played from Oxford Omnix there. They only invested the Terror Surge, beautifully timed. All they needed to do was get that Ryan out of here, and that's exactly what they did. Point ult economy, though, looking interesting from Abercrazy. They've got this Kiri Rush, they've got the Sojo. They are coming up onto some very useful ults that will be able to change the tide of this fight. But Oxford Omnix gonna have the same answer. Down the tank ult. Let's see if Armada can stay alive here, dropping it dangerously low here.
And here are the Kitsus, and Renee is walking forward. Egg Roadman's shots are on point, and Mudkip joins the dive. It is a very quick ace yet again out of Oxford Omnix. Again, one ultimate. That's all they need.
Yeah, I mean, these fights where teams are using too many ultimates is really their downfall, as they can't keep the fight going. Overwatch, especially Flashpoint, this is not a sprint. This is way more of a marathon game mode. You've got to use your resources wisely. If you start spamming them out here, it's going to look for a very bad time for you. And unfortunately, Toe doesn't manage to get any value out of his ultimate, used when three are already dead. And it looks like Oxford are going to take early point progress.
Yeah, Abercrazy here can't really find their footing on the point. Sergeant Squirts won the Tracer duel very early on, and it's going to be Oxford taking the early point. Toe here.
Abercrazy going round to the left-hand side of the point, going to try and take this.
Unknown dead again, and Abercrazy are going to be forced to back off again. Unknown just getting picked off. It's not going well. Mudkip falls to the hands of Toe, but Armada cannot push out of this little room. He is pinned down by the Orisa. Gonna miss the pin onto the Orisa. And the gold comes out from Orisa. Terror Surge coming out. A questionable shatter from Armada, as Egg Roadman is gonna pick up two. And this is the overclock to clean this up. Beautiful headshot onto Unknown. Beautiful shot onto Ensam.
And
that's a
Roadman
three-piece.
is gonna clean up the fight, as he always does. 2 fights invested. Orisa and Thing, they managed to get the Ryan out here. That was just... I don't understand what Armada's doing. Maybe he's not comfortable in this Reinhardt. Was that his first shatter, Jared?
It was, and... no, I believe it was his second. But questionable shatting a golden Orisa as Egg Roadman finds Unknown, and they can't touch.
And that is going to be the third point to Oxford Omnix.
Abercrazy have kind of fallen apart. I mean,
they look really strong at the first part. I don't think the Reinhardt is the play here, Jared. I'm going to say it. I don't like to be really get involved with them. These teams is what they play, but this Reinhardt, they seem to be dying half health before they can even manage to get close to the point.
Yeah, Ensam gonna use the Kitsune here. Abercrazy on the point. They're gonna save their Sojourn, and the Kitsu will be matched. Now, Finn's Kitsu did come out a few seconds later, which means Oxford, in theory, have the point dominance here. Armada trying to walk up here, but nobody is falling. Nobody is even taking damage here from the side of Oxford Omnics. It is just Renee. And now the health bars are starting to drop. They're trying to find angles, but the point is already ticking for Oxford Omnics. Beautiful pulse here from Sergeant Squirt. And that is absolutely clinical from Oxford.
That was perfectly executed from Oxford Omnics. I know exactly what their plan was. They baited them in. The Orisa was getting low. It was pure cinema. And just they baited them in. That was a perfect beat from Mudkip, and they just collapsed on them. Amazing ult from Sergeant Squirt, picking up 2, really changing the fight. Abercrazy here going to look to answer with some ults. They popped the Soj Rail, and they're going to see if they can find any value of it. Doesn't look like they can. Unfortunately, from Toad does not find any real value out of this.
Fire is going to drop the beat, and this is going to be the retake. Renee is trying to stop it with the ult. Spear again into Toe. Armada has taken out Egg Roadman. Renee has taken out Fire. This is a 2v2 on the point. And Armada with a big slam. He will finally maybe put an answer to Renee as Unknown clears up the rest.
Yeah, Unknown just managed to pick up the fight here. 99%, no ultimates online for Abercrazy. They might have this Kiri Rush in time, but Oxford Omnics are going to answer with their own Kiri Rush and the Soj Rail here. It's going to be an interesting fight. Abercrazy kind of need to do this drive-by. I wouldn't recommend them using the Kitsu here. They need to try and get a pick early, because if they use the Kiri Rush here, it's going to make them a lot less ultimates when they go to choose this final fight, and it's going to be very messy.
Yeah, I mean, Abercrazy here, they have the point dominance, but they're being pushed off. Finn is going to use the Kitsune, and Sam waiting for that moment to match it. Egg Roadman with the overclock. Here it is, but it might be too late. Sergeant Squirt gonna use the pulse bomb. Not gonna find any this time, but the damage is done, and Oxford Omnics look like they are going to take this map 3-1 for a 3-0 series.
I mean, yeah, Oxford Omnics did deserve to win that. They just played better. Their ult economy was better. Their positioning was better. Their team comp just worked. It was very odd when we saw them come out with it at the start, but honestly, it worked for them. They seemed like they've played it before. They've played the maps. They knew exactly what they were doing. They came here, they sat down, they played the game, they won, and now they're going home.
Okay, so that is going to be 3-0 to Oxford Omnics. Congratulations to them for taking out Abercrazy Raccoons in their playoff run. Now, we have just finished the match. So, who is your MVP from this match?
I mean, last week we did give it to the DPS because it was a DPS performance, and today it still was a DPS performance. Honestly, I'm torn between giving it to Egg Roadman or Renee. Renee was just such a pivotal force in this map, really held the team together. But Egg Roadman was just clicking heads. Honestly died. I'm going to lean towards Renee. I feel like tank players have got to get respect sometimes, and Renee needs the respect in this game.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. Both phenomenal players, but the way that this Orisa comp was working, Renee held the space, and they were so tanky. They lived through so many fights. They might command a lot of resources, but the space that they bought for Egg Roadman and Sergeant Squirt to line up these beautiful plays was absolutely sensational.
Yeah, and don't worry, Egg Roadman. I can see an MVP in your future. Don't worry. That was an absolutely amazing performance, but we're going to have to give it to Renee here, because Renee was just pure domination on this Orisa, really held the team together. And honestly, without that tank, I don't think Eggman Roadman could have done what he wanted to do.
And that is all from us casters today. We're going to pass back over to our hosts and analyst team, but it has been, as per usual, it has been great casting for NSE yet again, and we will see you guys next Thursday, and we will go back to our casters and analysts for the send-off.
Wow, what a series.
That was a fun game to watch. All three of them games are absolutely fun to watch. Well done, Oxford. GG's Raccoon. I hope it was a fun game for both of you. But how do you feel overall about the game?
Oh, I just think Oxford just put on an absolute masterclass of teamwork, and it just their individual performance was so high, and then that all combined together just
No, definitely.
absolutely beautiful.
I mean, the MVP, if I get his name correctly, is it Egg Roadman?
No, it was Renee. It was
Renee?
the tank this time.
Oh, okay. Well
yeah.
done. What was your biggest highlight from that game?
Seeing Orisa get played. Orisa is I hate to say it, but that is my tank of choice, and the show that Renee put on definitely just showed well, I think there's meta, and then there's you could play what you're good at, and I think Renee just went back to basics, knew what they were good at. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
No, definitely. I mean, definitely agree. I think for Oxford as well is, especially the second map and the third map, that's when they were truly like alive during the games.
They got into the groove.
They got into the groove of it. They understood like how to really counter the Raccoons, and I think they just played really, really good Overwatch. Not saying the Raccoons didn't play good Overwatch, of course, but they just were the better team for today's bracket.
Yeah, well, thanks to everyone for watching, and we will see you again next week for some more matches.